Hello everyone and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham. We're live in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. And over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the U.S. and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, here's a look at the latest headlines. Members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization condemned the terror attack in India's Pahalgam, calling for the perpetrators behind the attack to be brought to justice. The declaration also stresses that double standards are unacceptable when it comes to terrorism. A powerful earthquake hits eastern Afghanistan, leaving more than 800 people dead and injuring about 2,500. Taliban authorities say that rescue operations are now underway in the hard-hit areas with cooperation from the United Nations. European Central Bank Chief Christine Lagarde says it would be very dangerous for the global economy if, in fact, President Donald Trump took control of the U.S. monetary policy. Thousands of people rally across Indonesia as the military was deployed in the capital after 6 people were killed in protest over lavish perks for lawmakers that escalated into violence against the police. And South Korea's defense ministry says it stopped broadcasting propaganda radio programming into the north in the latest move by Seoul's new administration to ease tensions with its neighbor. We begin today in China, where the regional Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit has now wrapped up. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which includes nations such as India, China, and Russia, is a non-Western alliance seeking to offer an alternative to traditional global partnerships similar to the BRICS bloc. At the summit in the Chinese port city of Tianjin, President Xi Jinping welcomed leaders including Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin, underscoring shifts in the diplomatic landscape and demonstrating a show of solidarity among the global South. On the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister Modi held bilateral talks with Russia's Vladimir Putin, where both leaders reaffirmed their strategic ties. President Putin addressed Prime Minister Modi as his dear friend and said bilateral relations were developing dynamically. Prime Minister Modi, on his part, said he hoped Russia and Ukraine would move to end the war soon.
एक्सेलेंसी, ये हमारे स्पेशल एंड प्रिविलेज स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप की गहराई और व्यापकता का परिचायक है। कठिन से कठिन परिस्थितियों में भी भारत और रूस हमेशा कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर चले हैं। हमारा करीबी सहयोग न केवल दोनों देशों के लोगों के लिए बल्कि वैश्विक शांति, स्थिरता और समृद्धि के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है।
Now, earlier in the day, Modi and Putin met informally ahead of the SCO Leaders Summit, and we're seen walking hand in hand and having a candid chat with each other along with the host, Xi Jinping. On Sunday, Prime Minister Modi also held much anticipated bilateral talks with President Xi, where both leaders emphasized the importance of peace and tranquility along the border. They also reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening cooperation based on mutual respect, benefit, and understanding.
पिछले वर्ष कयान में हमारी बहुत ही सार्थक चर्चा हुई थी। हमारे संबंधों को एक सकारात्मक दिशा मिली। सीमा पर डिसएंगेजमेंट के बाद शांति और स्थिरता का माहौल बना हुआ है।
Now, this was the first time Prime Minister Modi met with Putin and Xi since President Trump imposed sweeping 50% tariffs on India over Russian oil purchases. Now, India has maintained that its decision to buy Russian oil is aimed at ensuring energy security for its 1.4 billion people. New Delhi described the U.S. tariffs as unfair and unreasonable, exposing the West's double standards in trade with Moscow. Both India and the U.S., however, have held several rounds of negotiations with still no results. Meanwhile, the barbs from President Trump's team on India has continued. In fact, over the weekend, White House trade advisor Peter Navarro criticized India, claiming New Delhi's purchases of Russian oil helped finance Moscow's war in Ukraine, and described India as a laundromat for the Kremlin.
Before Putin invaded Ukraine in February of 2022, India didn't buy Russian oil to speak of. Very, very small amounts. What happened? Well, the Russian refiners went in and got into bed with big oil in India. Putin gives Modi a discount on the crude. They refine it and they ship it to Europe, Africa, and Asia at a big premium, and they make a ton of money. Now, what's wrong with that picture? Well, it fuels the Russian war machine. India is nothing but a laundromat for the Kremlin.
On Monday, India's oil minister said that New Delhi was in no way profiteering from Russian oil imports, reiterating that its purchases have stabilized the markets while keeping prices from rising.
Some critics allege that India has become a laundromat for Russian oil. Nothing could be further from the truth. India has not broken rules. India has stabilized markets and kept global prices from spiraling.
Still, despite the rhetoric from Washington, the U.S. Embassy in India posted on X that partnership between New Delhi and Washington continues to reach new heights. So as the SCO summit draws to a close, India emerges victorious, having reaffirmed strategic ties with both Russia and China while successfully defending its energy policy. But it's still unclear how India, in fact, intends to leverage this win into big gains amid tense negotiations with Washington. Power isn't always delivered in speeches. Sometimes it's whispered in smiles, sealed in handshakes, and carried in the backseat of a car. At the SCO summit, the stage was crowded, but the spotlight was selective. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Chinese President Xi Jinping moved like a trio in sync, talking, laughing, and walking hand in hand. And then there was Pakistan's Prime Minister, whose movements were seen in stark contrast to the others. Our next report dives into the viral moments of diplomacy, unshakable bonds, and strengthened ties.
At the Shanghai Cooperation Summit in Tianjin, the stage was set for power, for presence, for poise. But while most leaders walked with calm, one stood out for all the wrong reasons. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. This video went viral in seconds. Russian President Putin and the host Chinese President Xi Jinping walked side by side, composed, unhurried, deliberate. And then came Sharif, rushing, reaching, almost sprinting, just to grab Putin's hand. Some called it awkward, some said it was desperate. It was largely seen as the international equivalent of gate-crashing a photograph. And social media had a feast. Pathetic, attention-seeking, wrote one user. This is how beggars behave, wrote another user. And as Xi coldly looked away, the clip turned into an instant meme material. But let's be honest, this isn't Sharif's first stumble on an international stage. In 2022, he fumbled with translation headphones in front of Putin.
Уважаемый господин премьер-министр, идет перевод, все нормально?
In 2023, he took an umbrella from a staffer and left her drenched. In 2024, he congratulated Trump for his return to the White House on X, which was then banned in Pakistan. While Sharif chased handshakes, the real story was elsewhere. India's Narendra Modi, Russia's Vladimir Putin, China's Xi Jinping. Three men, three powers, smiling and walking together. And in the backdrop, Sharif standing alone, silent, still, staring awkwardly at the scene. The optics were electric, and the cameras captured it all. Modi and Putin riding together in the same car, a deliberate gesture of trust. The leaders walking hand in hand toward the summit hall. Xi joining in, the trio laughing in an animated huddle. It did not seem like forced diplomacy. And the body language spoke louder than any statement. Comfort, camaraderie, confidence. And then came the moment that sealed the day. As Modi and Putin walked together, Sharif stood behind, alone, frozen in the frame. No handshake, no smile. Later, Prime Minister Modi posted the photographs. Interactions in Tianjin continue, he wrote. Simple words, but powerful optics. India and China are resetting ties. Russia is cementing its place, and the trio stands together as a signal to the West. At the summit, Xi Jinping spoke of turbulence, of chaos stirred by Washington. And in that moment, the warmth between Modi, Putin and Xi carried a message of its own. The SCO summit was no ordinary gathering. It was a stage where alliances were tested, where friendships were displayed. The Tianjin summit is over, but the stage it set feels far from closing. Modi, Putin and Xi not just leaders, but actors in a play of power. Their camaraderie scripted in smiles, their unity whispered through gestures, and then Shehbaz Sharif, stuck in the wings, watching, waiting, wishing. Because while Modi and Putin rode together and Xi joined the laughter, Sharif was left clutching awkwardness like a badge. The SCO promised cooperation. What it delivered was a snapshot of who belongs and who merely lingers in the frame.
Meanwhile, back here in Washington, there was speculation about President Donald Trump's health once again, which gripped the nation. This time, the president is dismissing the chatter, and he's doing it loud and proud. Today, Donald Trump took to Truth Social to declare that he has, in his words, never felt better in his life. His post came in response to a conservative commentator who accused the media of holding what he called comical double standards. It was pointed out that Joe Biden could go days without being seen and still be described as sharp and on the top of his game, while President Trump is instantly met with health scare rumors when he disappears for 24 hours. The post went viral, claiming President Trump works more hours than any other president in history. And soon after, Trump amplified the message himself, not only insisting his health was perfect, but also using the opportunity to make a rather extraordinary claim that Washington, D.C. had become a crime-free zone under his watch. Now, Trump was not seen in public since his marathon 3+ hour cabinet meeting on Tuesday, but he conducted an hour-long interview with a conservative media outlet on Friday. And he also had no public event on his calendar for this holiday weekend. These instances, coupled with images circulating of bruises on his hand and swelling of his legs, sparked wild theories across social media. Hashtag Trump is dead started trending online, pushing speculation to absurd extremes. The chatter grew when the White House published a blank schedule last week. The president, however, dismissed the rumors by posting a picture of himself playing golf on Saturday, which was also termed fake by some social media users. The hashtag also became a viral trend when Vice President J.D. Vance said he was prepared to step into the role of president should a terrible tragedy strike Donald Trump. Concerns about Trump's health were sparked earlier this year when he was spotted with a large bruise on his hand. Days later, a couple of new marks were also seen on his palm. Now, amid the growing rumors, the White House has downplayed the bruises, saying that he gets these marks from shaking hands with thousands of people. In July, the White House addressed the concerns by confirming that the 79-year-old president has a chronic vein condition that causes the swelling.
In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease.
For now, President Trump continues to project strength through his words, his outings, and his promises of a new political future. And now shifting to the Middle East, in a dangerous escalation between the Houthis and Israel, the Iran-backed rebels stormed the United Nations offices in Yemen's capital and detained staff members. The attack came just days after Israel killed the prime minister of the Houthi-run government in Yemen in an airstrike. Now the Houthis also say they've struck at sea, launching a missile at an oil tanker in the Red Sea. On Sunday, armed Houthi fighters forced their way into the UN offices in Sana'a, targeting the World Food Program and UNICEF and detaining at least 11 staff members. A UN official said Houthi forces also raided the World Health Organization offices and questioned employees. The United Nations condemned the raids in the strongest terms, with the Secretary General Antonio Guterres adding that the Houthi forces carried out forced entry, seized UN property, and attempted to storm other agencies.
The personnel of the UN and its partners must never be targeted, arrested, or detained while carrying out their duties.
Guterres has demanded the immediate and unconditional release of all staff. And UN envoy Hans Grudenberg confirmed the tensions in both Sana'a and Hodeidah, adding that they came on top of at least 23 UN employees already held since 2021, one of whom died in Houthi custody earlier this year. UNICEF and the World Food Program said their immediate priority was the safety and well-being of staff. Both agencies confirmed they were conducting head counts in Sana'a and other areas to account for the employees. There have also been reports of a broader Houthi crackdown on international organizations in the territories they control. But now the Houthi raids on UN offices came just days after Israel killed Ahmad al-Rahawi, the prime minister of the Houthi-run government, in a strike on Sana'a. Several cabinet members were also reported dead in the strike. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the operation only the beginning and vowed more strikes on Houthi leaders.
We are doing what N18 has done before us. This is only the beginning of the strikes on senior officials in Sana'a. We will get to all of them.
Houthi leaders vowed revenge and accused Israel of widening the war. The Iran-backed group has long fired missiles at Israel and targeted Red Sea shipping, claiming it's retaliation for Israel's offensive in Gaza. The retaliation flared again on Monday. A Houthi spokesperson said the group fired a missile at the Liberian-flagged tanker Scarlet Ray in the Red Sea, claiming a direct hit.
The naval force of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a military operation targeting the Israeli oil tanker Scarlet Ray in the northern Red Sea using a ballistic missile. The operation resulted in a direct hit on the ship, thank God.
But Britain's Maritime Trade Operations Center, which monitors Mideast shipping, reported only a loud splash near the ship. Now, the vessel is owned by Eastern Pacific Shipping, a Singapore-based company controlled by an Israeli billionaire whose fleet has been targeted earlier as well. This was just the latest strike in the Houthi campaign at sea. Between late 2023 and 2024, the Iran-backed group targeted more than 100 ships, sinking 4 and killing at least 8 sailors. After a brief halt, attacks resumed earlier this year. And in July, 2 more ships were sunk, killing 4 people and leaving others missing. And as of now, at least 11 UN employees remain in Houthi custody, but with an escalating face-off between Israel and the Houthis in Sana'a, the future of humanitarian operations in Yemen hangs in the balance. A police shooting in Los Angeles is raising questions about law enforcement and community safety. Body cam footage released last week shows 36-year-old Gurpreet Singh wielding a 27-inch machete, swinging it at vehicles and pedestrians. Witnesses called 911 and police pursued Singh as he drove erratically through the streets. The incident ended when officers opened fire, fatally striking the man. The footage, now viral on social media, has sparked a debate over police use of force and cultural understanding. Our final report takes you through the incident.
This is Gurpreet Singh, a 36-year-old Sikh man and a resident of California's Arcadia. On the morning of July 13, Singh stopped his car near Crypto.com Arena and stepped into traffic. Witnesses called 911, saying he was swinging a 27-inch long machete at passing vehicles and pedestrians. Detailed police body cam footage, released last week, shows him in a blue turban, t-shirt, and shorts, reportedly performing Gatka, a traditional and centuries-old Sikh martial art from the state of Punjab in India. The art uses swords, sticks, and other weapons in choreographed movements. In the footage, which contains disturbing visuals, Singh is seen moving in circular motions with the machete, at one point appearing to gesture as if cutting his own face or tongue. He is then seen charging towards police vehicles approaching him and defying officers' orders to drop the weapon. Singh returns to his vehicle, retrieves a water bottle, and throws it at the officers. He then drives through the streets, waving the machete outside the driver's side window, while Los Angeles Police Department vehicles chase him. He is eventually surrounded by police. Singh gets out of his car angrily and charges at the officers again. At this point, the police officers open fire and fatally shoot him down. Singh is seen lying on the pavement unconscious as officers call for an ambulance. A few days later, he succumbed to his injuries. His machete was recovered at the scene and booked as evidence.
Los Angeles Fire Department paramedics responded and took over the rendering of medical aid for Singh. He was transported to a local hospital to be treated for the gunshot wounds he sustained as a result of the officer-involved shooting. However, a few days later, on July 17, 2025, Singh succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased by medical staff.
Singh's video of being shot has since gone viral on social media, stirring debate on police use of force and cultural understanding. Users question why couldn't Singh be captured alive and why are foreigners given such treatments. Another user said, LAPD is emboldened by a racist leader at helm. One user even asked, was shooting the only option with LAPD? However, several other users also defended the police's action. Amidst this divided reaction, the LAPD has ordered an investigation into the shooting. Authorities will determine whether the officers' tactics, from drawing their weapons to the use of deadly force, met departmental standards.
Next several months, the LAPD will continue to investigate and analyze this incident. We will continue interviewing any new witnesses that may come forward and complete any forensic.
The release of this dramatic and disturbing footage has revived broader concerns within Los Angeles' Indian community. Only last month, another elderly Sikh man, 70-year-old Harpal Singh, was attacked during his daily walk, leaving him with a fractured skull and possible brain trauma. These back-to-back incidents have intensified calls for greater protection and accountability. As investigations continue, questions remain over policing, public safety, and how communities of color are being protected in Donald Trump's America.
That's going to do it for us today. And from all of us here at Firstpost America, we certainly thank you for tuning in. We hope you have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks, everyone, for watching.